Who created God? Or you can ask a question like, how old is God? We live in a busy world. You go to the airport 20 minutes late and you might miss your flight. And you go to the office late and you have to give a good explanation to your manager. Going late to school, you had to be on time. Okay, time is very important for us. We use time for everything. Trains, buses, they go on time. And launching a rocket, scientists and mathematicians use not just seconds, milliseconds and nanoseconds. Everything we see in the world has a beginning and end. Plants grow and they die. And we don't live forever. We're born and one day we all have to die. So our thinking is always about everything has a beginning and end. You see a building and you say, who built it? And someone else answer that they built it. So everything we see, there's someone is doing something to create that. So people honestly ask this question. If God created everything, who created God? Or how old is he? So let me ask you a question. Can you find a volume of a circle that has a radius of 4 centimeters? What would you say? You would say, well, a circle is a two-dimensional shape and that hasn't got a volume. So volume is not a property of a two-dimensional shape. In the same way, God has got some characters, like he is eternal, he is timeless, he is omnipresent, omnipotent, which is like he can be in the different places at the same time, which is omnipresent, and omnipotent is he has got unlimited power. So the God we all believe in has got different characters than us. We sometimes look at God through our lenses based on the way how we see things, and we misunderstand God. So let's look at those characters. God is timeless, but we live in a world where we see an absolute time. Everything is measured in time. But even us, what we understand about this physical world is not really correct. Like we say absolute time, but based on what Albert Einstein discovered about special relativity, even time is not absolute. He talked about some examples where if we travel at the speed of light, go in a spaceship for a couple of years and coming back, and we will be younger than the people who were on this earth. I mean, that's in theory, but time is not absolute. And the dimensions, we have got 3 dimensions, the spatial dimensions, and then we have got time. But now in the latest scientific discoveries are proving that there can be more dimensions. So even the things we understand about this physical world is not adequate. So God is timeless. Scientists have discovered that there was a beginning for time and space. And that's what we believe. Those who believe in God believe that everything was created by God. Even time was created by God. So if God created time, he is beyond time. Let me give you an example. I make a cake and the cake is sweet. The cake will not ask me, how sweet are you? Because I made the cake. That doesn't mean I am sweet. So God is timeless, but we are created beings and we live in a created universe that is controlled by time. Let's look at the other character of God. He's unchanging, but we are changing. If you look at the trees or animals, and their life comes to an end, they decay. we get older, we change. So we sometimes tend to think that God is also changing, but he doesn't change. He is ageless, but we age. So when we ask a question like, how old is God? The age doesn't define him. He is ageless. Let's look at the other character. We worship God in spirit and truth. He's in spirit. I mean, that's something that we need to be careful. When people think about spirit, they think it's like something like a cloud. The spiritual world is like kind of a parallel universe that exists. It's not like a universe. I mean, it's bigger than that, and it's more powerful. Physical world was created by God, who is spirit. Recent times, there have been lots of scientific research about this near-death experience. People dying or going in coma or some kind of state for a couple of days or several weeks, and they come back and they share about their spiritual experiences. And lots of medical doctors are studying these things, and lots of research papers on that. And they're finding out, they're getting into another world, which is the world of spirits, where they are experiencing things, they are seeing people, they are seeing different activities. But something they all agree with, the spirit world is much clearer and powerful than this physical world. I mean, they even describe it's like a difference between an old black and white TV had signal issues and a 4K three-dimensional TV. So if you see the difference, they're saying the difference in the spiritual world, there they see things much, much clearer. And they're talking about lots of different things. I mean, that's another research. But what I'm trying to say is that the world of spirits is not something like we think that it's going to be like some clouds. No, it's not that. But in the spirit world, God is spirit, and God can communicate with us through our spirit. We are actually spiritual beings clothed in this flesh, because our physical bodies have to die one day, but our spirit will not die. So when we pray, we talk to God. I mean, even though we say things from our mouth, actually our spirit communicates with the Spirit of God. And there are some people going to meditations and all kind of things, but the danger there is that in the spirit world, God is there, and also the evil spirit and lots of deceiving spirits. Some people get into kind of meditations and all kind of things. They end up talking to the wrong spirits, even the devil. They don't really talk to God. So we need to be careful. I mean, I have read books about conversations with God, but they were not really talking to God. They were talking to some strange spirit. So it's a dangerous territory. We need to be careful that we are communicating with God. So God is spirit. So the people who pray and spend time with God, they have all these experiences. They find God as eternal. They understand it better because they know the limitations in the physical world, and they understand the nature of the spiritual world. So that's one of the reasons why some people ask questions like, where did God come from? Say for instance, an atheist who might have done 10, 15 PhDs. He understands everything in the world, but he might not have the access to the spiritual world. At the same time, there's a farmer in Africa, might be praying, and he have good understanding of who God is. So these two people can't argue about whether God exists or not. Like if you talk to a blind man and tell him the trees are green, and he will disagree because a blind man can't see the colors. So that's what happens to people, like arguments between atheists and who believe in God, because the atheists, they're blinded to the spirit. And the people who believe in God, they pray and they have access to this spiritual world, will be able to understand things better. So we talked about time and changing things, and now about this spiritual world. So these are the limitations why people ask questions like, how old is God? Or where did he come from? Or who created him? So the answer is, he is timeless, he is ageless, and he is all powerful, and he is beyond comprehension. So these questions are not really logical if you understand the characters of God. Thank you for watching.